Hello, Dan McCloskey here, welcoming you to an interview with outstanding jazz saxophonist, flautist, and composer Greg Abate. It was conducted in January 2025 in San Francisco. Greg has recorded and worked with many great musicians, including Phil Woods, Kenny Barron, Jonathan Blake, Ray Charles, and the Artie Shaw Orchestra, just to name a few. He's been a professional musician for almost 60 years now and continues to play over 200 concerts per year here in the U.S. and in Europe and other parts of the world. He has recorded 23 albums of his own. Right now you're hearing a selection that was composed and played by Greg Abate. It's the title track from his album, Gratitude. Hello, this is Dan McCloskey. You just heard a selection there called Gratitude that's written by Greg Abate. And Greg is the saxophonist on this wonderful CD. It's Greg Abate with the Tim Ray Trio. And our guest is Greg Abate, and we're getting a chance to talk to him here in San Francisco.
Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, same here. I've been lucky enough to have heard you over the years in Rhode Island many years ago, and then in San Francisco. And you always bring so much energy and passion to the music. It's beautiful to listen to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I got some questions for you. You grew up in Rhode Island, right?
Yes.
I read a story that a salesman came to your house to sell musical instruments. How old were you when that happened?
9 years old.
And what instrument did you want?
Trombone. I just liked the way it looked and the way it sounded. He didn't do an extensive demonstration. He just like blew into them and like made a noise with them, and so the trumpet and then the clarinet and then the trombone. And I liked the trombone. My mom didn't want me to play it. She said, "You have to play that black one."
And what was the reason for that?
She just didn't like the trombone for some reason. But it's just worked out, right?
Well, yeah. So you ended up playing clarinet in high school.
Elementary and then junior high school, and then high school for 1 year, and then I played alto sax 10th, 11th, and 12th grade.
Did you have a passion for music once you started playing with that clarinet?
I did. In fact, I used to get in trouble by playing it in the foyer of the band auditorium. I was playing my own licks. I was doing stuff, making things happen.
How about your folks? Were they into jazz at all?
No. Not at all.
Did they get to hear you play like when you were with Ray Charles
They
band?
came to
like
a gig on Cape Cod when I came with Ray Charles. My mom used to come to a lot of my gigs, like they played locally, and my father came to a few of them. But my mom was more into it than my dad. Yeah, so she was good. What else? Where was I going before that? With Dick Johnson. He sort of like was a mentor to me. I play in this place called Bovie's Tavern every Monday night. And that's where I really went to school there, learning about like jazz and how to play it, even though I did come back from the Ray Charles Orchestra and I played at Berklee College of Music. But when you play it out for real, it's when you really learn it.
When you got out of high school, that's when you went to Berklee?
Yes.
In Boston?
Right.
They don't really teach you to be a jazz musician.
No, they don't. They do teach you to try to be a jazz musician because that's what you go there for. But it is learning on the road when you're playing like real music, real jazz. It's really special. I know it's entertainment, but it's not really to the musician. It's not entertaining, but you are playing something that's spiritual. It's internalized music. It's not something that's premeditated. I have no idea what I'm going to play,
Until you get up there.
Even then, I don't know, because when I solo, I try to always stretch out to different areas, and when you're playing lines and fast, you have to sort of like gear where you're going and make a statement that's going to be melodic, and you can't just play a lot of nothing. It's a hard thing, but I'm getting better at it all the time.
That's for sure. Definitely. So you were at Berklee, and then you went out on the road, because you had a lot of different things. You played in blues bands.
Yes.
And you played in rock cover bands.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And mostly, what were you playing then, tenor or alto?
Alto. And I had my fusion band back in the late 70s, and I was writing all music that was non-jazz standard type way. It was like, fusion, good changes. I like chords. I'm really into chords, and melodies were intricate. And then it really didn't swing. It was more like really kind of slick kind of writing, and it was hard to solo on actually because it was like it was all ajar sort of. It wasn't like swinging,
Yeah. After Rhode Island and then Berklee School, you moved out to California. Is that right?
Yeah, I drove out with 3 other guys, and we went right to Hollywood.
And these are other musicians?
Yeah, and we were all in this group. Mass Confusion was the name of it. And then from there, I went with another group, Dave and Gene Clark. One's the guitarist and one was the bass player. And we played in Vegas 6 nights a week at the International Hotel. It was like cover band, Sly and the Family Stones.
Did you like doing that?
Yeah, at the time. I did.
Well, you were young. You were in your 20s.
Yeah. I was really, really having a good time. And I'm surprised that I made it through all that. You know, and in Vegas then was so cool. I thought I got to I got more of a little bit back of it when I used to go and play in the '90s. I played at the Four Queens with Alan Grant, and I played there with Nick Brignola, and then one time with Richie Cole, and one time with Claudio Roditi. And then I played the Riviera twice with Don Menza. The place was packed. The concert was still well attended, and it was like really separated from the other idiom.
Las Vegas was very different.
Wasn't it cool? I mean,
yeah,
really...
yeah. It was not a tourist attraction at that time. It was a place to gamble and hear great entertainment.
Yeah, really good.
Let's take a little bit of break from your musical history. I'd like to play another great cut from that same album, Gratitude. We're going to play this next one, Bop Lives.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about Gratitude. What does the title mean to you?
Well, I wrote it because I'm a sensitive guy. I mean, I feel like things that I'm thankful for. And I was thinking, like, I'm playing music and I'm doing this and I'm enjoying my life, and I have a lot of gratitude for it. So I'm going to write a song, and I just entitle it Gratitude to go with that feeling. My newest recording just came out on Summit Records, and I titled that one Positive Energy. And it's the same thing. I mean, positive energy. I wrote that during the pandemic. I was like writing music and writing etudes and stuff and things, and I was having fun. And I was writing tunes that meant something to me, that I was experiencing. Positive energy, you have to have that, or else it's no sense living.
Being a great musician, I mean, that's, you're gifted with that. Is that part of the gratitude?
Yes, yeah, I feel it. It's like I've always had the feeling, but I didn't really come to terms with why until I got older. I don't know if I'm dreaming it or whatever, but it's a feeling that it's like a force or an energy that it's just a happy thing that comes in and it makes me feel creative. And the thing that goes with that is, to be creative, you have to have somewhat of a technical ability. But you can still be creative without technical ability. But if you want to play complicated jazz and make it happen, it's like in the genre of all the greats, Charlie Parker, and all these Sonny Stitt, like those guys, I like that style,
Yeah.
Hardcore, Phil Woods.
Well, let's go back into this record and hear Bop Lives. The guys on this are...
Tim Ray's the pianist, John Lockwood acoustic bass, and Mark Walker is drums.
Do you still play with them?
Yeah.
And they're a local group back in Rhode
Boston,
Island?
Yeah.
Oh, in Boston.
And like, I recorded 4 recordings with them. And then the 5th one was that one with Kenny Barron on the same label. So I had Motif, and I did Road to Forever. Then I did Gratitude. And then they recorded me and Phil Woods' double album with this group, Kindred Spirits.
There's a great group, as we'll hear right now. Bop Lives. What was your first experience hearing jazz? I mean, I understand it was with Brubeck.
Yep.
Was that because it was a top 40 hit? What was it?
Yes, yeah, and it was on the radio. Take 5.
And how old were you then?
I was 14, and I was trying to learn the solo, the melody, and it was quite challenging at that time, and I didn't know about really improvisation. I didn't know what it really was, other than, like if you look at it at a chord, I didn't know what that was, but I knew I could play by ear. So that was the first alto saxophonist I heard that really rang my bell in my head.
It's interesting that that was one of my early exposures to jazz as well. It was a top 40 hit. Who would think that Take 5 would have been a hit like that?
Yeah, and it was such a hit because people. It was more people like music better. I don't know. It was like more sophisticated back then, wasn't it? Even like the high school kids liked it, and like parents liked it, and the grandparents liked it.
Yeah, it made Brubeck a very big star.
Yeah, he was great.
So after hearing Take 5 with Paul Desmond on sax and Brubeck, what other artists come to mind?
I had a real sheltered jazz life until I got to Berklee, and then I was studying history of jazz, it was all new to me. They would play tracks, Sonny Rollins, Duke Ellington, Charlie Mingus, you know, and all the greats. I was a late bloomer. I didn't blossom in there at school. And some people come and hear me and play last years or so. They come in and say, "Are you really Greg Abate? You don't sound like the way, like you were a horrible player at school." Yeah. So they said, "Greg Abate, we got to go here. We came in to hear you tonight, but we didn't think you were really him. You look like him." But
wow. So what was it like hearing Charlie Parker? Because your music comes through Charlie Parker and then through Phil Woods and obviously all the other influences you've had. What was it like hearing him the first time?
Oh, it was like just magnificent. It was like so beautiful. I thought it was like everything was right, perfect. And
Do you remember any of the selections?
Well, of course, Confirmation. And then Phil Woods, listening to the recording live on the Showboat, that was one I listened to a lot in my car. And I just it engraved this time into me, the time of playing in great time, pulsating. Because you can play da 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 da, or you can play da 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 da, you can play that. Playing with him on the 2 albums we did together and playing in different gigs we did, it was going to school with a master.
Yeah.
I tell you.
Yeah. Well, before we get into more of that history, let's talk about your work with Ray Charles. That was when you were out in Los Angeles. You saw an ad
at the Union. Yeah, it was on the wall hanging up there, like a notice of a Ray Charles band, auditions tomorrow. I couldn't really play that like a jazz player, but I could read fairly well. And I saw that Ray Charles Enterprises tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. So I went there and just did it. And it was just like a magical thing that happened,
How many days did you have to audition? I read that it was like 4 days.
Yeah.
So you have to come back each day?
Yeah.
And was Ray there listening?
Yeah. It was stressful. And I don't know how I made it through that. Then we started to go on tour. We flew to Seattle, and then we flew to Manhattan. From there, we went to Poland. Landed there, and then we started the whole European tour, and then back to the States, and then I went to Japan for a month.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, I was 27, 28.
It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what instrument were you playing?
Alto.
Alto, and you were the lead alto, right?
I was, yeah.
And then
He said he liked my sound.
That's great. What about the flute? Because I understand you didn't play the flute at that time,
No,
right? So how did that work out, playing the flute? Because he expected you to play the flute. And the first time, what did you do?
I didn't have a flute, so I had to buy a flute, and I bought a used Yamaha. Had a couple of solos or things to play. Wasn't really a lot, but the tenor saxophonist next to me, James Clay, he played the parts for me.
And did Ray think you were playing the flute? Because that was a requirement, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah. He didn't mention it. He didn't say anything. He just let it go. I don't think the flute was that noticeable at that time, as much as like if James Clay was playing tenor, he'd know it was him, you know.
How long did it take you to start to feel comfortable on the flute?
A couple of years. People say that that I play really good flute. They think I'm a flute player, which is nice because I like playing flute. Every instrument I play, I like baritone. I play that.
Yeah, you played that on one of your records here.
It was in the Stratosphere.
It's a whole different sound with the baritone.
Oh yeah, I like it. It's nice.
Well, let's play this one right now.
Yeah.
In the Stratosphere, which is a selection you wrote.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that on this album, the Greg Abate with Tim Ray Trio, you wrote almost everything.
Yeah, except
Inner Urge and Jitterbug Waltz, right?
And also Serenade to a Cuckoo.
Oh yeah, Roland Kirk.
Yeah,
Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
He was great, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. What a beautiful cut there. In the Stratosphere.
Thank you.
And you got another one on here where you're playing the flute, right?
Yeah. Gemini.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And that's another composition that you wrote. So
yes.
Anything we want to say about that one?
I wrote a lot of tunes with Gemini because I'm a Gemini, and I wrote in Claudio Roditi is a Gemini, and I just I don't know what it is about the Gemini, but I wrote 3 or 4 different Gemini tunes. That's one of them.
And all with the same name?
Yeah.
All right, well, here we go, Gemini. So that's Jim and I, Greg Abate, and he's our guest here. And that was with Tim Ray, John Lockwood, and Mark Walker. And that's from his album called
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes.
Right. So after you left Ray Charles, which was what, about 2 years, then you were with the Artie Shaw Orchestra?
Yes.
And I understand that Artie Shaw actually, he wasn't with the band anymore, but he came and was there when you played one time or auditioned or something?
Oh, he was there for the audition. Yeah. And he was very picky on how everybody breathed and phrased in a certain way. Yeah, he was good. He didn't play, but it was there in Boston.
How long had it been since he had played? Because he quit just like overnight one time, didn't he?
Yeah, it must have been 20 years or more.
Do you think he still played music at that point?
No,
for himself?
He didn't like it. He said he didn't like to play the clarinet.
So what was his interest then? Just because it's the name on his band?
He told me, yes, he actually told me he wanted to make some money.
So he had a business interest
Yeah,
in it.
business.
What was it like being around him, meeting him?
I didn't get to know him very well, but he seemed like really kind of eccentric, and he was like seemed intelligent. He liked to write books, and he was into more of an artist in a non-musical way.
Yeah. How about, we talked about Ray Charles, but I didn't get to ask you, what was Ray like? Did you get to talk with him much?
Not too much, no. He was like very kind of like in his own world. He would just say things like, well, I'll be okay today if it doesn't rain, or something like that. Or he said, I like your sound, Greg. You got a nice sound. He was very strict with the drummers and the guitar players mostly. If they didn't play the way he wanted, he would give them a warning. And then if they did, he fired one drummer in Italy and one guitar player in Boston.
Now, when he fired them, what did he do? How did he find another musician?
He had somebody lined up, I guess he thought. That was weird, though. He fired the drummer in Milan, and the next day another drummer came.
From your musical ears, was the drummer not doing his job?
No, he didn't like a certain cymbal he used, and the drummer would disregard his wishes, and he kept doing it, and Ray said, you're fired, off my bandstand.
And how did you guys travel in that band? Obviously flew up to the big cities, but then in a bus or?
Never a bus, no, always plane.
Always a plane, even if it was a short distance?
Yeah, he had his own plane. Yeah.
Oh, you went in his plane?
Yeah.
He didn't fly it, though?
No, he wanted to.
Because he was a pilot?
Yeah, he was.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, how'd you know that?
Well, I know he was. I read about it.
Yeah, jeez. Well, he used to fly what he couldn't see, but he used to do the controls.
Yeah, somebody was instructing him.
Right.
He was an incredible person. I mean, absolutely incredible.
He was.
Starting out the way he did and making it on his own. I mean, first copying Nat Cole and getting his own sound and writing all those hits. So after Artie Shaw, that's when you went into these different groups.
So I was going into bebop.
Oh, okay.
Because I got into Charlie Parker a lot. I had a desire to go on my own to play in different places. So I would go to play a lot in Quebec and Montreal and doing a lot of that. And I started to do barnstorming, they call it, where you go and you go to a city and you have a gig and you meet people and then you go somewhere else. I'm still doing that. I'm doing that, playing with different bands without having my own band be with me.
That's amazing. I was reading about that. Are you still out on the road 200-something days a year?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I feel fortunate that I have fairly good health, Mm-hmm. I don't smoke, I don't drink alcohol. I used to, but I gave it up, and I found that it's much better, even though you think, well, gee, I'm not going to have fun anymore, but I have fun playing my music.
What do you enjoy when you're working with other musicians? What kind of benefits do you get the back and forth?
Well, playing with a different piano player, the way that they play their chain chords and what kind of rhythm they have catalysts me into a certain way I'll play. I like to play free, to have the freedom to do it without getting pushed around, because the piano players that really play jazz can comp really well without getting in your way. And the bass players I like when they really lay down the time and they have a solid sound. Everything's right there, That's what I enjoy. All the different places I play, like in England, I play maybe 20 gigs in a row, sometimes more. It'll be a different band every night.
How does that work out? Because the group I heard you with tonight, they were really accomplished musicians. But
Yeah.
how easy is that to find people that can play at your level?
Well, there's different levels of good playing, and like most of the time, it's really good. I get used to playing with different people. It's an effort to learn to play with someone you never played with before. It's really a challenge, and I do that. And I've been thinking, why I'm doing that. You know, I mean, I'm doing it. I'm not complaining, but when I go and play with my own bands, I have different people I use regularly, you know, and so if one piano player can't make it, I'll call somebody else that I know. You know, you have different choices.
But there's a familiarity. But when you're doing these 20 gigs in England,
Yeah.
how well do you know each one of these groups that you're with?
Well, after 18 years of going to England, I get to know them pretty well. And then I play with those people quite regularly. Every city they'll be there, or they'll go and be somewhere else where I'll play. So I get to see them and become friends, feel like family in England, you know.
In some ways, being with so many different musicians, you can get some more energy off of them, different approaches, I would guess.
Definitely. And also, if it's not that way, you can take your energy. Because if they're not putting out the energy, I can't really do what I do, because I like to play with high energy. Even a ballad, you have to have that intensity in it.
I could see you breaking out in a sweat. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's not hot in there, but the mental
Yeah.
energy is definitely there. When you're up there playing, I read that you said that you don't necessarily even know where you are.
Right.
Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, it's like I know that I'm standing on the stage with my musicians, but when I'm into a deep solo and stuff, I'm playing, the concentration is so intense that I don't think of anything else. Almost like it heals even a headache when you're playing. I'm into it so much that I can't think of anything else that matters. In England, I have a friend that does classes with people in business, teaching them how to relate to their coworkers as musicians would on the bandstand. Like to share the same objective, to play something and make it happen as a whole. Not one person is a star in the sense, but like you could be the feature artist, which I am usually, but I also feature everybody, you know, and we work together. And else.
Yeah. That's what I find so exciting about jazz. It's just watching that. Let's play a cut from this album called Magic Dance. This is with Kenny Barron. What's a selection that we should play from this?
Oh, let's do Voyage, because that's the one that I did the overdubs on. 2 altos, 2 tenor, and 1 baritone. And I did that arrangement with the classic sax solo where it goes off. It's like a jazz line harmonized with the 4 horns.
So first you lay down the main track with the other musicians, then you came back later and did your own additions?
In a different studio, a different day.
Yeah, okay. So here we go, Voyage. Great selection there, Voyage. And there's another one from this album that we should play. Well, there's lots of them, but let's talk about this one.
And Then Again is a blues.
And that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And Then Again.
Yeah.
Great. And what can you tell us about that?
Well, it's a Kenny Barron tune, since he wrote all of them. And it's a blues. And it sort of like reminds one of something that was already done. It's like a sort of like a Charlie Parker type of head. But it's his original melody. And I played alto and baritone on it.
That's a selection, and Then Again. Once again, Greg Abate playing all those instruments, along with Kenny Barron, and on piano, Desron Douglas on the bass, and Jonathan Blake on the drums. So high-class musicians, just the cream of the crop. Has this given you some additional recognition?
Yeah, it was on the jazz chart.
And it was on for what, 7 weeks, right? Straight?
It was number one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, you knew that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have a new album that's just coming out right now, correct?
Right.
And who's on that album?
Well, it's a New Mexico band I play with. Piano was John Rangel, the bass was Terry Burns, and the drummer was Dave Post. And they all live in New Mexico.
And a lot of your own tunes on it?
Yes, mostly my tunes and a few of John's, the pianist.
What's the selection we should play?
Positive Energy, that one there.
Album, Positive Energy, that's a title track.
Right, and I wrote that because of, the pandemic, and I was just writing a lot of music and etudes, and I thought, well, this sounds like something I wanted to title Positive Energy because it's really up tempo and it's like aggressive and it was like going forward. Great. Instead of going backwards,
Yeah. Quick question. How do you go about writing? Do you do it on the piano?
Yeah. I play chords and I just hear melodies and I just write something that makes musical sense, and then I try to use good harmony.
So with all your travels, you're your own booking agent. You're
do.
your own manager.
But I also have people help me, but not always.
Well, you're a hard-working guy. I mean, you're so dedicated to this music.
I love it. I don't do it for any ego thing, but I do like to play in public. You play in a concert, it's fun because you get energy back. You see people that like what you do, and it's sort of like you work at your craft all your life and you get rewarded, not as much monetarily as it is, emotionally, yeah.
You're still doing it and
Yeah,
playing
geez.
200 and something gigs a year.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Well, let's finish up with talk very briefly about your work with Phil Woods, because that was really important to you. So you started playing with Phil Woods in 2014.
Yeah.
You mentioned in one of the interviews I read about you that he gave you validation.
Yeah.
Not that I think you needed it, but what did he say?
Well, on the record, he put a quote on the record that we did. He says, "I sleep a lot better knowing that there's alto sax players like Greg Abate."
That's nice.
That's it.
What's a good selection to play from your album with him that came out?
Steeplechase. That's a good one.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, Greg Abate's terrific talking with you. Absolutely sensational musician. I love your passion, your energy, and that's what makes a great musician, is the
Awesome.
ability to, just keep going.
Thank you for interviewing me.
My pleasure. You're listening to Steeplechase, and that's from the Greg Abate and Phil Woods album called Kindred Spirits, and we're going to close out with that selection. For the past hour, you've been listening to alto saxophonist, baritone saxophonist, flautist, and composer Greg Abate. What a wonderful musician. The interview took place in early 2025. This is Dan McCloskey saying thanks so much for listening.